Welcome to COABE's Meet the Author series, where we visit with the authors of our latest edition of COABE Journal and find out what they wrote and why they wrote it. I'm Olga Escamilla, and I'm the guest content editor for the Professional Development edition of the COABE Journal and past chair of AALPD. Today, we'll be discussing the article, Moving Beyond Knowledge Building, Lessons in Action-Oriented Anti-Racism Trainings by Ian Brown, Elaine Farber Budish, Jennifer Greene, and Wyvonne Stevens Carter. I'm excited to have two of our authors, Elaine Farber Budish and Wyvonne Stevens Carter, join me today in the conversation. I'd like to ask that each of you share a little bit about yourself and your current work in adult education before we get started with the questions about the article.
Thank you, and I'm happy to be here. My name is Wyvonne Stevens Carter. I am the State Director for Adult Education in Massachusetts, and I have the opportunity to work with over 100 providers throughout the state to provide public adult education to adult learners, as well as a host of other services, including job training and preparation for um, college or career. I've been in this position for with the state for about 8 years, and working with our programs around anti-racism, diversity, equity, and inclusion for the past 3 years specifically.
Hi, my name is Elaine Farber Budish, and I am a director at UPD Consulting. And we have the extreme honor to partner with Wyvonne and her team at the Massachusetts Department of Education to develop and deliver anti-racism, diversity, equity, and inclusion training to providers across the state. We are now in the beginning of our third year of working together on this. The article we wrote is actually specifically about the journey and the learnings that we've had along the way together.
Thank you both so much. So let's get started. The first question is, why did you write the article for COABE Journal? I know you kind of mentioned that, but just elaborate a little bit more on that.
I think one of the first reasons for us writing the article is that we are so excited about the work that we're doing, the progress that we're making, the impact that we're seeing in our programs as well as with our students. And we were happy and really eager to share that experience and that learning with other states. As a state director, I know that being a state director in Massachusetts, we have really the support of our state in looking into this topic intensively and directly. Our state agency is doing so as well. And I know that is not necessarily the experience for everyone, every state, but I think that there's a lot that can be learned and about the impact and how it is a real substantive impact for people on their journey in education. So that was probably one of our greatest reasons. Elaine, what would you add to that?
I would just say that we didn't have a roadmap for this when we were starting out. And one of the reasons we wanted to write this article was to share somewhat of a roadmap and some ideas that other folks in really practical ways could apply. Whether, as you said, Wyvonne, they're in a state where there's a lot of support for equity work, or in a place where there isn't, there are still things that we did that we think people will really be able to latch onto, and we're excited to share some of those ideas and frankly to hear from other people about what they've been doing and learn from them and start a conversation about this.
Thank you. Thank you both so much. So, how will adult education practitioners benefit from reading your article, and how will that benefit their learners? I know you kind of talked a little bit about the article, but how will that benefit our adult practitioners and our learners?
Thanks, Olga. Do you want to go first, Wyvonne? Or do you want me to? So I mean, we believe that there's a lot of benefit. We've seen the benefit here in Massachusetts. In particular, I think we really want people to see that this is doable, that it's manageable, and that doing anti-racism work and doing equity work, it can be challenging, but it can be done. And I think that that goes a long way in helping other people feel able to engage in this work. And to draw the really explicit line, when you do this work, anti-racism, diversity, equity, and inclusion work, programs are more successful on all their outcomes, not just their diversity or equity outcomes. Students do better and learn better. And staff have better retention and more creative ideas when we have diversity and true inclusion in our programs. I think there's also, I'm going to give a very specific example. One of the things that we talk about in the article, one of the practices that we started in the first year was having a steering committee of practitioners who were participating in our first core learning series, which was a 5-session series over a course of about 7 months. And they were incredibly valuable, and they required us as the people leading the work to be incredibly vulnerable and humble about not having all the answers. And we hope that that's actually a model, not just for other state agencies or groups that are running training, but we were actually modeling for the programs how you approach diversity, equity, and inclusion work in a way that honors the perspective and values the perspective of the people who you are serving. In this case, we were serving the programs. We hope the programs will then take that mindset and that type of practice back to their programs. And the other counterpart to that is in the second year of our work, and we also talk about this in the article, we actually paid students for their time and invited teams to bring students with them, not as peripheral, but as core team members on their organizational teams. And I have to say, I think, Wyvonne, you can chime in on this, but I think if there's anything that we hope programs start doing more, it is actually really centering their adult learners, bringing them in to experiences that traditionally they have not been a part of in terms of organizational decision making, learning opportunities, collaboration opportunities, and we believe strongly that that is the key to doing this work and doing it well in programs like the ones across Massachusetts that are diving right in and doing the work.
I will say, Elaine, that is was one of the highlights for me, is the impact that I saw with the students. So last May, we had our directors annual conference. First time we were together in person since COVID. But this conference explicitly, we invited a panel of students who had participated in this learning opportunity. And I have to say, hands down, that panel of students and their voices being heard was the best thing I've ever heard or done or experienced in my work as a state director. The students' voice was highlighted, their experiences were spoken, their truth was heard. And it's really, I think, what the conclusion is that the work that we're doing is not just about anti-racism, diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's about people's lives, and it's about changing people's lives. And it's about giving people power to be change agents in their own lives. And I think adult education is all about really working with adults who come to the table with knowledge and experiences. And this has trained us a little better on how to really bring the student to the table and listen to their voice and let their voice have impact and change how we do and do things and say things. It also allows us as individuals, as teachers, as professionals, as leaders, to do a little bit of humble inquiry about ourselves and get curious about our own ways that we approach things, and to not just be the teacher, but also the learner. And we can be um, very experienced in so many areas, but we can be novices in other areas. And in this work, we all get to come to the table wherever we're at and kind of join the journey uh, in real practice. And so I've been challenged by my field as a state leader to really look at things and to make changes that are challenging. I won't say that it's easy to do, but I've heard their voices. And I think if programs and states read this article and are motivated in any way, shape, form, or fashion to include multiple voices as they engage in their work, it will be highly beneficial.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It sounds like you've shared quite a bit about your hopes for how this is going to benefit the practitioner and our adult learners and anyone that reads the article, and what you want them to take away from this and through your experiences. So at this point, do you have any additional comments that you would like to share?
I think there was a question specifically about how this will impact our learners. And I will say that one of the things I learned through this process is that many of our learners have become staff in our programs, and they have worked their way into positions in their agencies where they are sharing their stories and their experiences with other adult learners. And I am really looking forward to our next kind of like looking at how we really take those students who are in our classes who have experiences and knowledge, and help them to develop the skills to turn around and give back to fellow adult learners in a variety of ways so that they see more of themselves reflected in the staff um, of our programs. And I believe that just gives learners the opportunity to shine and for students to actually really believe that they can be anything they want to be. Um, and we want to help them see that become reality.
I think the only thing, I agree with everything that Wyvonne said, and the only thing I would add in terms of other content or topics from the article that I think are worth giving a little teaser about in case it inspires anyone to read is that one of the things that we have deeply experienced over the last 2+ years of doing this work together is that it can get really uncomfortable, and that the learning comes from that discomfort. And I think particularly with this COABE journal issue being about professional learning, thinking about how we support people in brave spaces to find safety, to find connection, to find curiosity and compassion and courage, to engage with each other and support each other through learning has been incredibly just powerful and magical and hard all at the same time. And I don't want that to scare anyone off from doing this kind of work, but actually to say that it's worth it. It is 100% worth it. It's more than 100% worth it because of what it does for the programs and especially for the adult learners and the folks who rely on adult education systems across the country. We really hope that people can take away something that is useful for them and some solidarity in doing this work and making change in our communities, because that's really where it's at and what it's all about. And I just want to say a big thank you to the entire UPD team who works on this project and the entire Adult and Community Learning Services team under Wyvonne who work on this project, because they have led the charge of showing up even when it's uncomfortable, as well as in those moments where it's joyful. And we do find joy. We have dance parties. It's pretty amazing. So, this work is not only hard, it is joyful, and it's a wonderful thing to be able to share with such wonderful colleagues.
Thank you so much. I just want to add to a couple of things to what Wyvonne said in terms of our students. Yes, they come to us with so much already, and it's great that you're allowing them or having them be part of this process and sharing and then continuing on as leaders, because that's one of the things that COABE is all about, is students as leaders too. So I want to thank you all so much for your contributions to adult education and specifically to professional development in adult education. And I hope that this conversation that we've had has piqued everyone's interest, and that those watching this interview will want to learn more about the article and the many others in this edition of the COABE Journal. So you can view the COABE Journal and learn more about how to receive a copy of the at coabe.org and click on the COABE Journal link. So again, thank you so much for sharing about your article, and thank you everyone for tuning in.